And on November 6th, 2010, the stores went live for one day. To get the gym, people had to be in the right location, so they downloaded the Gold Run app, found the store, found the shoe, and bought it. It got a lot of buzz. Airwalk got $5 million worth of earned media, and their e-store had its busiest weekend ever.
Tell me what augmented reality shopping is and why that's going to be a big deal this year.
Augmented reality is pretty rad. For example, in New York City, we've got an invisible store where if you're in the right location and you put your phone up, you can see a whole Airwalk store.
An exclusive product sold to an exclusive audience for an entirely new retail experience.
They're full style, and I'm glad they're back, and I'm going to get it every day.
The Invisible Pop-Up Store. Watch out for the next one, invisibly appearing near you.
So that was an example where we were bringing sort of product to where the demographic hung out, as opposed to the usual route, which is get people into a brick and mortar store. So we use our technology to do both, but I wanted to show you an example of these like virtual pop-up stores, which is something now we're doing for a lot of brands. So clearly, I think consumers aren't passive anymore. You know, if that's something that we have so much data and information at our fingertips that there's really no excuse not to be an informed consumer, and they're really active and engaged and savvy. And what this means from an advertising standpoint is that, you know, people don't want to just be fed ads. They actually want to opt into something. They want to choose to have an experience. They want to be a part of a brand's narrative. So, you know, in the past, you had one ad that was served up and you saw the same ad, you know, everywhere you went, and you tuned it out because it just doesn't really resonate with you anymore. But the whole idea is if people can start to make versions of their own ad that aren't really so much an ad, but a form of self-expression, and share them with their friends, that's going to become a sort of new type of advertising, a new type of marketing. And sort of this whole idea of self-expression, I think, is really critical in terms of where we're moving in the landscape of branding and advertising. And so what's happening is these users or consumers are no longer just fans, they're actually brand ambassadors. So if I'm going out and taking a photo of an Airwalk sneaker, for instance, or anything else, I actually become a brand ambassador because I'm posting that photo on, say, Facebook. It's reaching however many friends I have on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and so on and so forth. So for all of you, it's giving you agency to sort of speak out about things that you care about, whether it's something with politics or it's a film you love or a brand. So this is something we did for the Giants. That's loud.
All of our successes here is due to our fans. And what better way for them to share this championship than to use augmented reality and have a virtual ring of their own?
So that was an example of a brand, the New York Giants, wanting to connect with their fans in a really authentic way. So they'd seen what Gold Run was doing, and they came to us and they said, you know, can we let fans pose with the rings that Tiffany's designs, and can we let them hold the Lombardi Trophy virtually? And we said, you know, absolutely. And so what happened was, you know, they had not just like fans in the typical sense of the word, but like really devoted fans putting on their jerseys, posing with their girlfriends, looking really tough, and trying on the rings and posing with the trophy. And it was pretty amazing to see the dialogue that was created between these brand ambassadors and the actual brand itself. And it created an incredible cycle where, you know, all this real content or media was created for the brand that they could then leverage and sort of use. And the fans were obviously rewarded because they had an experience that was really personal that they otherwise couldn't have, you know, had. They couldn't have touched the Lombardi Trophy or tried on the ring. So we're combining virtual goods and photo sharing and commerce which you've all seen, to create social commerce. So that's what a lot of people are calling this idea of like one person influencing another in terms of what they're interested in, what they might buy, even their decision around the elections. And so if we think about it, first we had search, with Google, and now I think we're moving into an era of discovery and self-expression. And so this is an example of self-expression for a film brand. So Fox came to us, they were, Ice Age was gonna be coming out, and they were thinking, well, how do we let the fans of this particular film interact with the characters? And so they were using our platform, using augmented reality, to let the kids pose with the characters from the film. And one of the things that we saw pretty quickly was that people instantly understood that they were acting, that this was a form of expression. So, like the kid on the right, he's clearly understands that there's this virtual character there, right? Even though it's not actually there, it's just virtually composited into the image. And so we started to see this as a trend of people understanding that they could interact with virtual content, whether that was actually buying a product or just interacting with a character from a film they liked. And so this is sort of becoming a new way for people to express themselves that sort of just moves beyond a simple photograph and into something that has embedded content in it. This is something we're doing for the Lego supervillains, and to me what's becomes pretty compelling is that there's these characters that obviously these figurines, but you can play with the scale and you can sort of use your imagination and think about how they come to life in the city. And so suddenly it's not a small character anymore, but it's 30 feet tall, and you've placed it where you want to, and that might be just in your schoolyard, it could be in the mall, it could be really anywhere, it could be outside a movie theater, but they start to take on a whole different meaning. And obviously some of the people were replacing their own heads with Lego heads, which was fun to see. But really it was like a whole different type of way of interacting with the brand. And so it's no longer about ads, clearly. It's about engagement, and it's about visually driven experiences where you're the content creator. I think that's the most important. And so it's media combined with technology that informs society. And ultimately, though, in my mind, I think that the society is you. And so you're creating the content, you're creating the media, you use the technology, or in some cases create it yourselves, and you inform society. So, thank you.